Welcome back to the channel. Joshua here, back with another video. Before we begin this video, because it's about to be a juicy one, let's take our breath. All right, on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Inhale through the nose. Exhale slow. Okay. Now that you're present, let's begin this video. Okay, family. So before we begin this video, I want to share where has inspired me to talk about this video. So currently right now on social media, there's this social media influence. I think her name was Ashley Janae or something like that. And it's all throughout the media that she has went to Africa and now she has died unexpectedly. And she was, of course, with a man. And so everyone's saying that, this man has killed her. Now they're doing a whole investigation. So I don't know what's going to be the final end result of that. But I wanted to talk about how patriarchy has weaponized men, men's biology to work in their favor. Okay, so this is going to definitely be talking about relationships. We're going to be talking about understanding the biology that men are not aware of, that patriarch has capitalized on to make them a weaponized man. Okay, and so we're going to go deep into this. So let's get it popping. Okay, so just bear with me because I'm gonna be doing a lot of changing, switching and changing. Okay. So before we begin, I just want you guys to get this book because I'm gonna be using a lot of references from this book, The Male Brain. This book is a game changer. You have to understand the biology of a man. Once you understand the biology of the man, all of your relationship issues, all your reasons for why men are so hypersexual, all your reasons for why are men so aggressive, all your reasons for trying to understand male psychology will be answered. All right. And also, men, I encourage you to get this book as well so you can understand your own biology and you can stop responding to your own biology. What I realized is that when they talk about in church, to kind of, beat the flesh or, stop falling victim to the flesh, what that sounds like to me is stop falling victim to your biology. Stop falling victim to the animalistic parts of you that are always acting on a automatic response. You have the power to take back your automatic responses that comes from your biology or from your physical body because it has a brain and a mind of its own. All right. So I recommend this book. Okay. All right. So boom. This is what I wanted to show y'all. I told y'all we getting into it today. So today I decided to draw, as you can see. So I got the mic in my hand, so I'm probably not going to be able to point it out, but I want you guys to just listen to what I'm sharing, okay? So as you can see at the very top, it says patriarchy. And when you look at the word patriarchy, the whole just you know understanding of patriarchy is the role or the rule of the father. So it deals with father energy. That's what patriarchy means. Matriarchy deals with the role or the rule of the mother, right? But we live in a patriarchal world, okay? So now you can see that as an arrow that's pointing to the man, not as a question mark. Now, the reason why it's a question mark, because technically we don't know who is the man behind the mask, okay? So this is considered to be the shadow. There's a shadow, a presence that is ruling our whole entire humanity, okay? Now, if you look off to the right, you see that this shadow, this patriarchal archetype, this energy that we are all governed by, has certain characteristics. It's a narcissist, okay? This shadow man is angry, right? Has frustration, lacks emotion, has control, is misogynistic. We can go on and on, okay? So let's get into it. I'm gonna come back to this. Okay, so this is what I want you guys to understand. All right. Every man has been birthed from this particular energy we call patriarchy. Every man is considered to be a patriarchy masculine man first. Then he has to understand that he has patriarchal ways, and then he has to try to alchemize or change or transform into an actual healthy man, okay, or more divine masculine man. But first and foremost, every man has a bit of low self-esteem, low self-worth, okay, has this unconscious idea that they have to be superior, they have to dominate, they have to control everybody, okay. They are misogynistic, whether they realize it or not. They have anger issues, they have void of emotion, they are not connected to their emotions. That is a term called alexithymia, meaning that you have no connection to how to you have no connection or awareness of your emotional state. You have a low vocabulary, emotional vocabulary. You're completely, let's say, numb, so to speak, okay. This energy, this man that I just described, is considered to be the father of every boy, the father of every man that's living in society today. If you pay attention to the partners that you are residing with, the men that you know in your life, pay attention to some of these characteristics, because these characteristics are linked to the patriarchy energy. Okay. So when I showed you guys the drawing, I was showing you that this is truly your father. This is your father that has birthed you. No, granted, you had a biological father, but this is your father who raised you. Because most people, or let me say, most households are single family households, single parent households. So the father is not present. So someone has to raise the child, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to be patriarchy. All right. So I want to get that clear understanding that, and we're going to go a little bit deeper. Clear understanding about this patriarchy father. And if you look at it like patriarchy as like, look at it like this: patriarchy is the name of the guy, right? So be like, yo, so who your daddy is? Oh, my daddy name is Patriarchy. Okay. This is what I want you to understand. Because patriarchy has expressed, has exuded, has trained us as men, us as little boys, how to be just like him, meaning we have adopted the patriarchal rules and the patriarchal ideologies and the patriarchal mindset that favors the patriarchal political system, because patriarchy is a political system. So I want you guys to understand this. If patriarchy was considered to be a man, and this man had low self-esteem and low self-worth, and it had no love for itself, and it creates a political system to control people, what does that sound like to you? To me, that sounds like a very hurt individual, beyond hurt. That's an understatement. Who had to find a way to make himself feel superior, and by doing that, he decided to suppress women. Why did he decide to suppress women, or why did he decide to suppress the feminine energy and have control over femininity? Why did he decide to go in that direction? And the more I reflect on it, it makes me think about how it's like if you had to create this huge political system to control people, specific the feminine energy, then to me that sounds like you know that the feminine energy is more powerful. And if you knew that the feminine energy is more powerful, you got to find a way to control that. And the fact that most men, because of the lack of hormone, which is the oxytocin hormone, we have oxytocin hormones inside of us, which is responsible for love. Women have more of an oxytocin hormone inside of them, so they have more ability to love more. And if you don't think that's a fact, read the book. Okay, it's in the book. Okay, so anyway, so if women have more of this energy, right, this naturally makes them high vibrational. Okay, and so men lack a lot of love in their life. When they was children, they didn't receive a lot of love in their life, right? And so when I think about patriarchy, I think about a man who is so emotionally abused and so emotionally I don't know, diabolical, like just nefarious, this completely wicked man who was so hurt, so traumatized, he had to find a way to control other people to keep him on top. Okay. So every man has this same idea in their own head, and it's favored by testosterone. Okay. You could say that's the competitive hormone. Okay. It's going to always constantly try to go up the corporate ladder. It goes up the pecking order, always trying to. It's kind of like primates in the wild. Like if there's a massive silverback gorilla, and it knows that is deemed the most powerful, it's going to hold its position. It's going to make sure that the other primates know that y'all not fucking with me, right? That's what testosterone does to the male body. And so we got to understand that these hormones are influencing us as men on a whole nother level that's also destroying people around us. Okay, so boom. All right, so let's go a little bit deeper. All right, so now we're back on the drawing. So you see to the left where it says single parent homes, unhealthy discipline, and no emotional connection. So when we have a household that is set up like this and there's boys in this household, what this will do is naturally create what I like to call a trained patriarchy boy. So you see that the center with the question mark, that is the shadow man, or considered to be the patriarchy man, right? This is characteristics. And this father, because it's the role of the father, births patriarchy boys. You see that? Train patriarchy boys, okay? And so these patriarchy boys eventually become men. All right. So let's talk a little bit about more about these patriarchy boys and everything else between. So we got to understand something about children. Okay. At the birth, when children are born, if you have say for instance, you have a little girl and little boy, they're twins, they're born at the same time. Both boy and girl have the same full range of motion, meaning that the same range of motions that girls express on a daily basis, boys have the same range of motion. Boys have the same range of joy, blissfulness, happiness, um, um, you know, excitement, eagerness. Boys have the same range of motion. All right. Now, what happens is, due to patriarchal social conditioning, is that they start to train the boy to get out of these emotions, and they start to limit the capacity that boys have in terms of their emotional expression. So once they start to limit these emotions from the boy, what they tell the boy is, boys are not supposed to express emotions. Boys are not supposed to cry. You need to toughen up, right? That's the social conditioning that they start placing on the child at a young age, because they're trying to create a patriarchy boy, right? So this is very confusing, because if you have a child that's, let's say, between the ages of 5 and 10, they haven't reached puberty yet, and they don't have a father in their life, someone who can actually support them and is a healthy role model. Okay, what happens over a period of time is that they're going to start to listen. They're going to start to take into this poison, because they're trying to understand what it is to actually be a man themselves. So this is why I call it training, because what they're doing is they're training the boy to get out of his own natural biology. We got to think about this shit for a minute. If today, as a man, you have struggles with crying, when you was a little boy, you never struggled with crying. Why all of a sudden you have struggles with crying as a boy, as a man? It's because they went against your own biology. They use your biology against you. Okay. They literally told you that you're not supposed to express none of these ranges of emotion. You're not supposed to be vulnerable. Okay. Now, that is so detrimental, because naturally, okay, you can't, example, if you have a dog and is barking every single night, and then somehow you train the dog to not bark, that's unnatural. Okay. Like I said in my previous video, we are lions in a lion's den, and we live in an unnatural habitat. They took you out of the jungle, they placed you in a cage, put you in a circus, and started training your mind to respond differently to the environment around you. So now you're a lion in an artificial environment, trying to remain unnatural, or natural, I'm sorry, trying to remain natural, but you can't remain natural. Damn, what was that, Bert? You can't remain natural because you're not trained to remain natural. You're trained to sustain unnaturality. It's not even a word. You're trained to remain unnatural or artificial, right? So I say all that to say is that this starts to happen at a young age. Boys are starting to be trained to become a patriarchy boy. All right. And so I want to harp on where they use the biology of the boy to weaponize and to support their agenda. So this is something we have to understand about the biology of boys, okay, who eventually turn into men. There's a part of our brain that is responsible for our aggression and our anger. It's called the septum, okay? Now, the septum part of the brain that is in boys is much smaller than it is in girls. That's a huge statement because what that means is women naturally have control over their anger. It's not as common for women to naturally express anger versus it is to express for boys. Now, socially, that's on a biological level. On a social level, they tell little girls not to be angry, not to be frustrated, not to be so aggressive because that's not ladylike. And so they, but what they, okay, right? And but what they did with the boys is they tell the boys to be more aggressive or to actually, better yet, boys love to watch a lot of action figure movies, a lot of like, superhero movies, Sylvester Stallone, Terminator, Rambo, all these different movies that deals with a lot of violence. What society, of social conditioning, patriarchy people have done is they make boys, they convince boys that to be a man is to be violent. And when a man doesn't have a healthy man or role model around them, they watch television. And so when they see these men with these big muscles, like say Sylvester Stallone off of Rambo, you know what I'm saying? That's my era. I don't know what the young is watching today, but I used to watch Rambo. You know what I'm saying? You see Rambo with the big gun, toting, you know what I'm saying, shooting everything. That inspires you to some degree. That activates your masculinity to some degree. To where you start to pick up the idea that maybe in order for me to be a man, I need to be like him. Okay. But I want to harp on this. It's part of your biology. Your testosterone is what make you have aggression. That's why when boys start to shift into puberty, they start to have this rebelliousness to them. They start to be very aggressive and have temper tantrums towards their mother because that aggression has been triggered and is starting to become much stronger due to puberty, right? The little boy before puberty, he's not all aggressive. He's not like talking back. He's not doing all this, defiance. He's just more chill, more mild mannered. When he gets into puberty, that's what more of that aggression that stems from testosterone starts to build up, and he doesn't know how to regulate that. He don't understand what's happening to his body. So the mother is in conflict because she don't understand what's happening to her son, but it's all due to biology. But I keep placing emphasis on biology because what society or patriarchy has did is they understood the biology of the boy and they just weaponized it or they enhanced it to work in their favor. So we're gonna keep going a little bit further, right? I'm gonna show you what this looks like, what this look like. So I want to also place emphasis on this. Like I said, women have a bigger septum, which is responsible for emotional aggression than boys. This is like when a boy is, a man or whatever is walking down the street, someone steps on his shoes or someone bump into him, automatically he like, nigga, what you doing? You better watch where you going. What? Nigga, what? What is the lady that he's standing next to doing? What is his girlfriend doing? Grabbing his arm. Come on, babe, stop. Like, it's not even that deep. Why is she saying it's not that deep? Because the part of her brain that controls anger and aggression is stronger, is larger. So she has more regulation. So she's trying to pull him away from something that she deems as minuscule. But his is much smaller. So he's like, nah, this is everything right now. Dude stepped on my shoes. I'm about to let him have it. And so now you got this, babe, come on. Like, it's not that deep. It's not that deep. She's more irregulated than him. So for clarity, when men say that women are more emotional, I need you to think about that. I need you to pick up a book. I need you to stop saying that shit because that's a form of social conditioning. If women were more emotional than men, they wouldn't have a lot of men who are incarcerated. Every man that you talk to that's in a prison system, they always going to revert to a story of where they took things out of control, and that was based off them having a lack of emotional control. Okay, so let's just be clear about that. Patriarchy is in favor of men. They're not in favor of women. So they have told you a lie over and over and over to make you seem like you're more superior. That's why I said this is the father energy who is birthing patriarchy boys. And now you got the same mindset as patriarchy. All right. So just want to clear that example, right? So they use the anger to weaponize, to work in their favor. So when I say that the boys have a low range of motion, now when you have been trained by patriarchy, you have only anger, only emotions that they allow you to have is anger. You might have spurts of happiness, and that only comes when you achieve something, when you get an accolade, or when you have sex. Men know what it feels like to feel pleasure in their body. Men know what it's like to win a championship ring or win a championship at a basketball game or to get a degree. And men know what it is to feel anger. Ask men, right? And and let me just side note, okay? Not bashing men. That's not what we're doing here. I'm educating. Ask any man to give you different forms of emotion and can they identify them? If they can't identify them, that lets you know that they have been trained to not identify their emotions that are available to them every day. They're only trained to focus on 3 to 2 emotions. They have limited emotional capacity. Okay. That's important because for the men who are listening to this video, if you really want to be in a relationship, you need to enhance your emotional vocabulary. You need to enhance your emotional capacity. You need to enhance your emotional connection. Because why? Why you say that? Because the woman that you're with, she's going to ask for that. Eventually, she's going to want you to give her that. And if you can't give her that, the relationship will suffer. Okay. Okay. Let's continue. Patriarchy boys live a double life. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, like I said, from the ages of 0 to 10, you are this boy who is expressing all of these full range emotions. When you start to shift into like, getting into junior high school and you start to like grow up a little bit, you'll start to see that other boys don't express full range emotions. So anytime you express full range emotions, they're going to clown you. They're going to say, man, look at this sensitive dude. Oh man, that little boy look gay, man. Look at this dude trying to be all joyful and smiling. What he smiling for? He look gay when he's smiling. They're going to program you and try to tell you that something is wrong with you. So these boys who are attacking you because you're expressing full range of emotion is actually about to social condition you to become like them. Why? It's because, like I said, you don't have no one in the household. And like I said, you don't have no healthy role models. And like I said, these little boys is also considered to be patriarchy boys. They have limited their range of motion. So they're like, you got to be like us in order to be accepted. And so what the boy does, the boy says, okay, well, I just want to be accepted. I don't want to be, considered to be a standoutish person. I want people to accept me. So what I got to do? Okay, I need to start training my facial muscles to become more serious. Let me stop putting on a smile. Let me stop putting on a face. You know what I need to do? I need to make sure that I talk to girls crazy. I need to slap them on the ass because that's what boys do. Boys slap girls on the ass and they keep it running. They're going to try to find a way to train you to become a patriarchy boy. So if you don't learn patriarchy through social media, say movies and Instagram or whatever the case, you're going to learn it from your environment. And the boys that is in your environment, they already have adopted it. Especially when you get to the teenager years. If the boy hasn't had a father in your life and a mama's not on them enough to like really support their emotional connection and maturity and understanding and awareness, he's going to cultivate a patriarchy boy, archetype energy, right? So now let's move forward, okay? Because we're still talking about the patriarchy boys. The patriarchy boys becomes, of course, like I said, a teenager. Now, this is where puberty hit. Things get a little bit more extreme. At this point, we call this emotional disassociation. At this point, the boy is not even trying to be around the parents, right? Because he's trying to develop his own identity because he's in a whole nother world where he's really just trying to receive acceptance. And so he might, lash out in the classroom and become a class clown because he don't receive enough attention at home. Whatever the case is, things are going to transpire where the mother's going to feel like she doesn't know his son. All right. And at this point, he's at completion of becoming a patriarchy boy. Now, I want you guys to understand something about numerology. Numerology is important to understand how things work in terms of completed cycles. it's interesting that they say that by the time you're 18, you're considered to be a young adult. You could start, I forgot what people do at 18, but drink alcohol or whatever they tell you to do. I forgot if it's 21 to 18. I forgot. But anyway, you know what I'm trying to say? You could do more things, right? So every 9 years, you're in a new identity. That's a completion. Every 9 years, nine represents completion in numerology. Every 9 years, you're in a new energy. So 1 through 9, the subconscious mind is complete. That's why we hear a lot of teachers talk about, yeah, when your child's growing up, they're being socially conditioned with all these limiting beliefs. So by the time they turn age 7 or 8, they always say 7 or 8. That's when the brain is fully complete. The brain is not fully complete, but what they're really saying is that this is an ending cycle. So it's actually 9 years old. Every 9 years, you're in a new identity and you have completed a cycle. So 9 times 2 is 18. So when he reaches 18, he has become a full-fledged patriarchy boy. All right. He has received all of his training from patriarchy. All right. So this is where things get a little bit interesting. All right. So let's move on to the next. Now, you see that the little boys at the bottom, the offspring, is trained patriarchy boys. We just talked about that. Now, what is birth from a patriarchy boy? A weaponized man. Okay, that's the weaponized man. And so, where's the end result of a weaponized man? We about to go in. We about to talk about it. Now, this, let's just say, 18-year-old little boy decides to start dating. He gets in a relationship. This is his first real serious relationship. All right. And they've been dating for, like, say, 5 years. Okay. So he's a little bit more mature than just 18 years old. All right. Now, he's had arguments throughout their relationship, but it was nothing that was really big. One day he has a real big argument with his girl. Okay. And as they're having the argument, all of these hormones are starting to become activated. His testosterone is becoming activated. His vasopressin is becoming activated. His cortisol levels are becoming more activated. Okay. His anger is starting to rise, right? And while this is happening on a biological level, on a social, conditional, and psychological level, all of his programs are becoming activated as well. It's a concoction. It's a whole cocktail of things happen all at once. Now, he has been taught, because he's a patriarchy man, young man at this point, that women unconsciously are supposed to submit, are supposed to be dominated, are supposed to respect him. So if he feels disrespected, he's not only going to raise his voice to show that he is the superiority or he is the hyper dominant role in this particular scenario. Okay. But he's going to also express that. And also, let's just go back a little bit. And while he's in this whole argument, he doesn't know how to regulate himself. Why he doesn't know how to regulate himself? Because when you go into the banner or the conditioning or training of a patriarchy boy who becomes a patriarchy man, a patriarchy shadow, the patriarchy system doesn't train you how to regulate your emotions. So, like I said, if we have on a biological level, the part of our brain that's responsible for regulating and suppressing anger is much smaller than it is than women. When we express our anger, which is also accepted by society for men to express their anger, which is another what's called another indication that patriarchy is weaponizing our anger. When he starts to express that, he's not going to know how to turn that off because he doesn't know how to regulate himself. So while he's yelling at his girl, right, he's making her become more afraid because it looks like he's actually gone. The emotions have hijacked his emotional center to where now he's operating in strict emotion, which is anger. He's frustrated. Okay. And so as he continues to go down the you did this, you did that, and they going back and forth and going back and forward, what eventually happens, right, is he puts his hands on her. Now, why does the little boy inside the man, puts his hands on the woman? Because men have also been socially conditioned that it's okay to be violent. And if it's okay to be violent, they also assume that it's okay to be violent in relationships with women that they claim that they love. Because, like I said, patriarchy doesn't favor women, it favors men. So, patriarchy has also, with deep, deep tactical persuasion, have convinced boys and men that it's okay to hit their woman so she can be in check or be in alignment. Or, Ike and Tina, eat the cake, enemy. I said eat the cake, enemy. Eat the cake, enemy. Right? That is a very great, ungreat example of what every man thinks to some degree. I'm not saying all men are like this, okay? I want y'all to place emphasis on this. But when you hear the domestic abusive relationships, that's typically what's going on because they've been socially conditioned to be like that. So I say that to say is that eventually the man's going to resort to violence. And now that varies because he can just slap her one time, right? Or he can put his hands on her. Or he can resort to serious violence and he wants to kill her. So, like I said in my last video, it was in favor of the woman who passed away in Florida, where her husband had killed her. He basically grabbed a shotgun, put a pillow over her face, and shot her 3 times with a shotgun. Then he tried to wrap the body up in trash bags and try to hide the body. Now, one may say, what made him get to that point? What makes a man get to the point where he wants to violently kill or violently hurt the woman who is very fragile, doesn't have the muscle strength, doesn't have all of the aggression that men have, and he pull a trigger on her, or he kills her, or he hurts her? If a man has never learned, let me back it up. If a boy has never learned how to emotion regulate when he was a child, and every time he got in some type of verbal dispute, anything that was triggering his fight or flight response, his amygdala, if anything that triggered that, and every time he had that response, if he always resorted to fighting the person, when he's in a relationship with the woman that he claims that he's loved, he's going to do the same thing to her. He's going to fight her because he hasn't found another way to support or regulate that scenario. He don't know how to regulate himself. So every time he regulate himself, he just fight. We got to understand that when we're in these hyper emotional, intensified arguments, the man is more prone to fight because he is considered to be the hunter. He is considered to be the fighter. He is considered to be the protector. He has those hormones and his biology is set up that way. So he has to have more emotional regulation. He's not going to want to talk about it. He's going to want to apply action. And by applying action, he does something that can potentially hurt the relationship or even, hurt the woman that he's with. Right. And so, like I said earlier, this video is dedicated to this woman who just passed away, this social media influencer who was killed by this man. Of course, like I said, the investigation is still going on, but ain't no goddamn way this woman has committed suicide. You know what I'm saying? So, however that plays out, I want you guys to understand, okay? Patriarchy has weaponized the anger in the man to work in their favor. So let's just say, use the example of this man who killed this woman in Africa, a social media influencer. If patriarchy has created a soldier, a drone of plenty of men who have the same mindset that they are superior and women should obey them, and women better respect them and control, and they can control them, they're doing patriarchy a favor. Because if patriarchy doesn't want women to exist, or they don't favor women, when a man is socially conditioned to be a patriarchal man, he's going to act out that agenda in those relationships. There's a lot of relationships, and I'm pretty sure y'all heard of them, where men have literally killed the woman that they was with. That favors patriarchy. So for the man who has an ear to what I'm saying right now, you need to become very aware of your patriarchal ways, because you are self-destructive. And I don't mean like you, because I'm not talking to your true self. I'm talking to your behavior. Your behavior is very self-destructive and it will hurt someone. So if you're still carrying this energy, like you supposed to be controlling your women, or you're supposed to be suppressing your women, or she's supposed to respect you to this heightened, grandiose, narcissistic way or level, not saying that the woman should not respect you. But what I'm saying is, if she tells you something that's so utterly disrespectful that you have to put your hands on her, that says a lot about your patriarchal poison that is embedded inside of you. You should not allow your hands to go around that woman's neck or grab a gun and shoot her because you felt so disrespected. Like I said, the patriarchy father, the shadow, has to be a man who created a political system to control all things. He has to have an energy level that is so fucking beneath the earth that he has to create hate in the social conditioning, tactic, persuasion, manipulation, control system just to favor himself. And I'm using that as an analogy because, like I say, it's a political system. It's not really a person, but it's someone who put this system in place. That's all I'm fucking saying. Right? So the trained patriarchy boy becomes the weaponized man. The weaponized man uses the weapon of anger, uses the weapon of control, uses the weapon of dominance to all things that it loves and doesn't love, or that he loves and doesn't love. And also flip it out, because, or let me flip it. Not only he's a threat to all things around him, he's also a threat to himself because he doesn't know how to regulate his emotions. So why do you think that men have 3 to 4 or 5 times suicidal rates than women? Because men have been trained not to express their emotions. And so when they don't express their emotions, the emotions got to go somewhere. Over a period of time, by the emotions not being processed, men live in deep covert depression. So when they're in deep covert depression, they're close to suicide. And if they're close to suicide ideation, they commit suicide. There was a study that showed that men are more successful than killing themselves because they actually use actual death threatening weapons like guns. Women who commit suicide, they don't really go to guns. They may use other tactics, but they don't use guns. They find other ways to kill themselves, more slower ways to kill themselves. Men go straight to it, and that's why they have a higher success rate. But men are also weapons to themselves because not only that, they can't even experience true love. They can't even be in a committed relationship, a close relationship, because they have closed off. The emotional body is closed off, but they're not. It's not connected to nothing because they've been trained that way. We've been trained this way. All right. I don't want y'all to think I didn't fucking made it. Once I discovered some of these books that I'm fucking reading and I started reading through them and I realized, like, oh shit, I got even more work to do. I've been putting in work. This shit is disgusting to me. I'm on some shit like, I ain't trying to have nothing that I didn't give consent to manipulate me and control me to work in a motherfucking favor. I don't play that shit. So I am externalizing the poison inside of me. And I hope this video inspires you as a man to want to do the same. You know what I'm saying? So patriarchy creates patriarchy boys that creates a weaponized man. And a weaponized man can either hurt himself or he can hurt other people. And like I said, if he don't hurt himself, men are taking themselves out. Men are finding themselves in jail or find themselves on the streets. They can't cry. They're dying of young age because they don't know how to let themselves, they don't learn how to express their emotions. So the emotions start to create diseases. And so they start having heart attacks at 40 years old. This shit is deep. Patriarchy does not favor us. I want every man to understand that. Patriarchy does not favor us. It's literally for their agenda and they're using you. They're using us for their agenda. Another great book I want you guys to pick up, and I swear to God, you pick this book up, and if you're open to what I'm telling you, you will have a life transformation. It's a book by Bell Hooks called The Will to Change, Love, what it's called? Men, Love, and Masculinity. Please get that book. Get that book before you get that book, the male biology book or the male brain book. Get that book. Change the game, player. Change the game. So, all right, let's wrap this up. So, I say all to say, I hope all this makes sense. Okay. Ladies, be mindful of the man that you with and make sure that he, to some degree, has some form of emotional intelligence or ways of emotionally regulating himself, especially his anger, because men naturally get anger because they've been told, been socially accepted that they can express their anger because society says this is socially accepted. And so they say, well, it's the only thing I can do. I'm going to keep doing it. Make sure you don't have a man that's going to get to the point where he's going to put his hands on you because he has so high levels of anger issues. All right, men, I want you guys to really listen to what I'm saying in this video. Go on social media, pay attention to that story that's going on with this woman named Ashley, and I hear all the comments and everybody talking about wait, she should never been with a white man and all that shit. Fuck all that. At the end of the day, it don't matter if he's white or black. You are been programmed. You've been socially conditioned. It don't matter what color you is. You're gonna respond the same way. So for black men, you're gonna have done the same thing. Like if that is inside of you, the poison of patriarchy, you will get to that place too. You could potentially kill your partner too. So I get the whole thing. I get it. She's black, he's white. I get all that. But beyond all of that, the social conditioning is still present in all men. And that's what I'm trying to get everyone to see. Break out of this illusion of us of thinking that a patriarchy man is a real man. Look up patriarchy masculinity versus healthy masculinity. All right. Like, let's elevate. Let's get on with, let's evolve. Let's go beyond this social ass conditioning ways of being a man. Let's redefine what it is to be a man. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. That's how I feel. You feel me? So this video is helpful. Please drop a comment below. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you're feeling. And I think I'm gonna make a series on this. I think I'm gonna make a series to this because I've been deeper into this whole patriarchy. I might make a series to this. I don't know. I'll tell you on the next video. So, anywho, I'll let y'all later and peace.